Hello.
Hello, Sobia. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm very fine. Lovely to meet you.
Same here. And I'm loving your Superwoman cape. Have you seen it in the other videos?
I just forgot it this morning, so I had to quickly run and put it on. So just so that you know, there's already people on waiting for your talk. So as we're chatting, people will be listening, so you can say hi.
Nice. Hi, AJ. I see you in the chat.
Yep, AJ's in the chat. A couple of other people as well.
By the way, I've been watching the previous talks, so some really, really interesting topics, and it's wonderful the diversity you have, like from spirituality to total corporate stuff. Like, you know, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it sort of feels like there's a little that we're doing a bit of a bridge between, you know, corporate businessy and a bit more spiritual. So yeah, which is great. That's both of our styles as well. So
well, that's what you're talking about today, success to fulfillment.
Your plant looks good in the background. It was in your bed, was it?
The leaf was going to keep tickling me.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so we might just go ahead. The first thing that we'll try to do is to put the Zoom talk into a Facebook Live. Right. So sometimes we have success, sometimes we don't. We'll just see how the time goes. But either way, people jump in here with Zoom and they get straight into the chat box like they already are. And they also ask questions as you go. You don't have to worry about that because I'll monitor both of those for you. Okay. And I'll also send you a private message when we've got about 5 minutes to go. So if you see a private message pop up on your screen, it'll be about time. Are you cool with all that?
Yeah, that's fine. I was planning to use a PowerPoint, which I'm not using anymore, but happy to share it later with people if they just, so that they don't have to take notes or anything.
Okay, perfect. That's cool. Yeah, AJ, if you want to get on and chat to Sobia for a minute or two while I get us into Facebook, that's fine by me. So I will have to go up in just a minute.
So with kids at home, I've just cleaned up this space.
How old are your kids?
8 and 4.
8 and 4. Oh yeah, yeah. I understand. Mine are a bit older than that, but I understand. Thanks, AJ.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. Hello, Sobia. How are you? Great to see your lovely face and reconnect. I think it's only been a week since we talked last.
I received your cards yesterday. Thank you so much. That came as a lovely surprise.
Oh, excellent. I hope you have fun with the kids with them, although they might be a bit young yet.
I haven't yet planned to do it on the weekend, so I'll give you my feedback. But just receiving it and the card was lovely.
Oh, beautiful. So everyone that's hopping on, while we set up and get ready on Facebook Live, if you could pop in the chat box where you're calling in from. It's always really lovely to see where everyone is coming from. Sobia, you're no doubt in Sydney, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So if you're on the chat already on Zoom, please let us know where you're calling in from. And I also just wanted to quickly tell people all the amazing things that we have coming up today. We have so many good speakers. First of all, we've got this delicious human, Sobia, who is going to talk about from success to fulfillment. And I actually just recently interviewed her on my podcast, which is going to go live soon. And it was just phenomenal. I don't know what age you are, but you look like you're only 21. And your wisdom is of a 60-year-old, Sobia. So I know you've got so much to share. And then we've got the amazing Colleen Crichton. She'll be coming in from Canada today. We have a really international offering today of speakers. We then have Sally Anderson, who will be coming and talking about co-creative leadership. She's coming from New Zealand, so down south of us. And then we have Julia Steele, and Julia's going to talk about nerves of steel. And she must have nerves of steel because Julia just recently ran a summit much like this, but over 19 days, and she ran it all on her own with something like 230 speakers. So amazing effort there. Then we've got Peter Dixon, who I know is a very special favourite of Michelle's and a dear friend of hers. Peter is a musician and a really super talented, cool guy. And he's going to talk about the superpower of music in healing. And so he knows all about the frequencies of music and different tones and how that's going to help us heal and be better superhumans. And then we have Ankush later in the evening, and he's going to talk about the secret behind radical transformation, and also Kavi. And Kavi's going to be coming in from India. So like I said, this is like the most amazing international scene today. And Kavi's going to talk about conversations that change your mind, which I know Michelle's pretty keen about because her actual position description on her business card is chief conversationalist, isn't it, Michelle?
It is, yeah.
All right, I'll let you guys go and I'll sit in the background and monitor the chats in Facebook.
Thanks, AJ. Appreciate it. Lovely. So to I guess more formally introduce Sobia, her talk today is called From Success to Fulfillment. And I think there's a lot of nuances that I'm really hoping that you unpack in that process, because even the words have a whole different sort of intention, don't they? The idea of success versus fulfillment. And Sobia works a lot with leaders, a lot of female leaders as well as other people, and really about building confidence, influencing and helping those people being able to tap into everything who they truly are. Sobia's had a very interesting background. Among other places, has worked with the International Labour Organization and United Nations and a range of other roles. And I'm sure you're going to bring your wealth and depth and diversity of experience to us today. And we are very honoured to have you. So without further ado, it's over to you, Sobia.
Thank you, Michelle, for the introduction. And thank you again to you and AJ for putting this wonderful summit together. So today, not to disappoint, but I think in the morning when I woke up and set my intention, so I decided not to bring my wisdom, but to bring the kid in me to the summit.
Even better.
Because when you are that kid, when you let yourself be, like, just curious, wandering being, just letting go, no worries attached, no fear about the unknown, nothing, no regrets behind you. That's when I think I'm most, if fulfillment was the word, right? That's where I feel human, I feel alive.
Bring on the kids, we say. I think we're all kids today. So let's start with that frame in mind. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So a successful person is a grown-up person who has responsibilities, who's got that rank, who doesn't know what they are without that title, which is what the COVID-19 crisis has done to us. If we have lost a job, if our title is not secure, we just don't know who we are anymore, right? Who's got that rank.
I'm just going to text AJ because she's doing something in the background. Sorry.
That's all right. We just don't know who we are. Should I continue talking or wait for you?
Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that just amidst the times that we're living in, and we feel that certainly life is uncertain because we are so used to controlling everything the way we wanted it to be. Like it doesn't apply to everyone, but the kind of people that I've worked with, they have ticked off all the boxes that the society or the norm told them to. University, career, big companies, marriage, kids. Like, you've got it all. What more? But still, where's happiness? Hello? You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think very often people get to the stage in their life where they feeling like they have ticked the boxes, but they often feel like they're living someone else's life.
Yeah, and also, like, mostly what I hear is that they're doing everything so that one day they can have the time to be the person they always wanted to be. And they thought, once I become a senior leader, I will have that time because I will be able to dictate how I work. Unfortunately, the senior you become, the more responsibilities you have, right? The more accountability you have, not only for the people above you, but the team that you're leading. And especially, it's a challenge for compassionate leaders. They want to go out of the way for their own people, not just for the company. There's so much there for other people, and then not to forget their own families.
Yeah,
so much of themselves.
I think it's always interesting, isn't it? And I'm sure you find a similar thing when you're working with executives, that one of the biggest conversations around when you're working and supporting people like that is around their family and what their priorities are and how they can fit the things they need to into today. I think a lot of people have this image of executives as sometimes having it sorted, you know, and they've got that stuff worked out, but they are human just in the same way as we are all human. Is that what you find as well?
I find that too, and I will share a secret with you. So that's the secret of the woman empowerment movement, right?
Tell us about that.
So the senior executives that I'm working with, that ranges from C staff to even members of parliament, like, so very senior. Interestingly, they're very lonely. They've got it all on the face, right? But they don't have the time to be. They don't have they're so in the public that they cannot afford to be, let's say. It will kill the image that they've built. If they ask for help from family and friends, they would say, you have so much to be grateful for. What are you talking about? Look at those people who don't have it, right? So there's a price that you're paying to be successful. And then mostly the pattern that I've noticed, like, they always know that they wanted something more. There was this little dream. There's always an artist inside them, for example.
Absolutely.
Somebody played music, did painting, or anything that made them feel like a child again, right? Or be silly. So what they're longing for is creativity in any form. So success gives you a routine. Success dictates what you're going to do in your day. It takes away the inspiring creativity in you, right? And that's a superpower for a human.
That's so true. You know, I listen to a lot of people that talk about they associate their structure and the discipline with freedom. And yet at the same time, there's the sense that what are they going to do every day? They've got such a structured, disciplined day that they already have a predetermined outcome of what's going to happen at each step in the day. So they don't even allow space or room in their calendar or their life for things that emerge, which is what you're referring to, that allows us to be creative.
Yeah. So if you observe the pattern, I mean, I don't have any statistics to back it up, but this is my personal observation. It takes a life event to wake them up, to make them finally make that decision, the hard call. Right? Sometimes it takes a world crisis like what we're facing today to make that move happen. So unfortunately, it comes to a point where there is no otherwise. The soul says, you have to let me take the lead now.
Do you see, what's your insight into leaders globally and how people are navigating the terrain that we're currently in? What's your view on that?
I think it's a very difficult and challenging time to be a leader right now. A government leader, a United Nations leader, a company leader, because you have got tough decisions to make right now, which you may not have the support, you may not have the resources to back up the decisions that you might have to take. I think it's a very, very challenging time to be a leader. They cannot afford to take a break, take a day off. Sometimes, especially for company leaders who have to let their people go, like I've watched a couple of videos where these CEOs had to cry. They didn't have any other choice. It's a very, very difficult time. Yeah. And even for middle management to help their teams to work from home, to work flexibly, they have to be extremely human in helping their teams navigate that change. So right now, leaders, or compassionate leaders, have to somehow find the courage to just show up because there's no choice.
Yeah, and I think it's the other thing that I'm noticing is because of the change to people working from home, there's almost like a shift that is having to happen in people's leadership styles as well. Do you want to say, have you observed anything about people needing to change their style?
I have, and I what I see, it's a very positive change, like what I'm observing. It's like, team leaders checking in more with their teams, just outside the regular meetings, just asking more often, how can I support you? And, so people that I work with closely, I also see that they're finding the courage to ask their managers to tell them, to share what will work for them. Another thing I will share, I think just staying at home, it has given people not only slowing down is one thing, it has also given people the time to observe how they function best. Like when we talk about high performance, time management, energy management. For example, I've noticed that, so I sleep early and I wake up early. So between the earliest hour of the night is when I sleep the best. That's where I get most of my energy from. The afternoon nap is doing wonders for me, even if it's 20 minutes. So everybody to their own, So I think people are kind of understanding. One is understanding your emotions, your intellect. One is just understanding your body.
Yeah, so true. And I think it's interesting because it's almost like for want of a better description, when you're in an organization that has a structure and it has a leadership and management structure in place, there's much more room for power and control over that sort of dynamic in an organization. Whereas working from home, there's less room for that because there's more requirement for us as humans to step up and to self-monitor and to be in tune with our energy levels, etc. So what do you see as the new shifts for employees now being more working from home?
Some people are just lacking the motivation. And I think, as you said, self-monitoring is the word on the outside. From the inside, as we said before, if you let the creativity flow through you, whatever that means for you, it could be walking, dancing, anything small or big, If you let the creativity flow through you, you will find the inspiration to get done what you need to do. As simple as that. Be it office work, be it cooking, be it anything. And another thing I will share that, in my, for example, I say that motherhood has been my journey to fulfillment. I'm taking a talk from my TED Talk. So what I felt was when I had my child, I was off to a great career start. I just didn't know what to do with a baby. It took me a while. And I was like, God, I thought you made me for bigger things in life. Here I am changing nappies. Is that what you had planned for me?
I always used to say that I would go to work because I felt competent, whereas at home I didn't feel competent about being a mum because it was all so new.
Yeah. So I was like, I thought I had a purpose, But now I realize, now that my kids are a bit older, I think just parenting in a way that you're creating these little conscious, beautiful human beings is the greatest purpose you can ever have. You don't need anything more. If you did more, that's a bonus, but that's enough to start with.
Yeah, I entirely agree. I'm just going to read out a little bit for you about what people are saying on the Facebook chat. So there's quite a number of people watching, and people are saying about a process that they do every day, like a daily routine, breakfast, meditation, reflection, etc. And someone's saying that they prefer to wake up, but then they stay in bed for 30 minutes. That's their preferred way of operating. Yeah, so there's quite a few different comments and things coming through, so that's lovely.
There is no right or wrong. It just makes you what makes you happy. I think that's, if there was a criteria, that would be my only criteria. Is that making me smile?
So what are the things that are making you happy at the moment?
The naps, to begin with. Walks with my children. And I feel like, especially just my time with the kids was more, whenever we were doing anything together, I would always be thinking about the next thing. Let's get over with dinner so that we can get to the bed. Let's get over with bedtime so that I can complete whatever work I need to do if I need to. Let's get ready in the morning so that we can leave the house in time. So I wasn't really present. And I'm feeling this, not a shift, but I'm feeling this in my kids' personalities. They're 8 and 4 now, adorable ages. But spending so much time with us, it's like, I think it's been really good for them too. What they will remember when they grow up is a time that they had family dinners. It's a time that we just danced for an hour. We had family discos. We just stupid, silly things that make life fun. So it's the small things in life which are more important.
Absolutely. And I think there's some people who are able to focus on gratitude in this time and focus on elements like what you're saying. And there's some people that struggle to do that struggle to frame the whole situation in that way. What tips would you give to people if they're struggling to be able to look at the context in the way that you just described?
So Michelle, that's a great question. So as I get into it, I just want to we'll see how shall we take this conversation. Either we can keep talking as it's going in the flow, or I can share.
It's up to you. I can just jump off and leave you to it, or we can keep discussing. So you tell me what you would prefer.
I'm fine either ways. I don't like talking frameworks. I like easy flow conversations. So probably I will touch on it at a very high level and we can see how that goes into a free flow.
Perfect.
That's a good idea? Mm-hmm. Okay. So in the times where I see us, imagine that you're standing on a shore, right? On a riverbank, let's say, and you want to get to the other side. So I see the role of people in person development like ourselves as the boat. So we say, people, hop on, we will help you, hold your hand and take you to the other side where you want to be. So you have been successful. Let's go towards fulfillment. That's the visual that comes to my mind when I see my work or how the person development industry operates, right? So we are only the facilitators. The magic lies in the person themselves when that transformation happens. All we do is hand-holding, nothing else. So starting from there, this side of the river where we are standing is fear. The other side is faith. And the name of that boat is trust. So when I hold their hand, I say, you can trust me. You've got my back. I'm right here for you. We'll be fine. Right? And when we go to the other side of the bank, by that time, they have learned to trust. And it's time for me to let go of that hand. So some of us are already somewhere along this journey, either already on the boat or on the side of fear or faith, right? And it's only a matter, I'm not trying to make it sound too easy. I know it's not sometimes because everybody's circumstances are unique and can be extremely challenging, especially if they have, if they're facing health or financial challenges right now. So in that, when the situation is so real, it can be really hard to not be afraid, right? But then do we really have a choice? We don't. The only choice that's really, really going to serve us is to choose to trust that I'll be fine. So why not hop onto that boat? Make that choice and take little tiny steps. Don't set big goals that in 3 months' time, I will move to my new career. I'll do this course and then I will have a new life. Just tiny steps. Today, if I had been in bed because I haven't been well, today I will just go for a little walk. Start from there, right? If I've been wanting to start a new business, today I will just look into what do I really want to do. Small steps. And then trusting that life is going to work out for you, because it always does. Right? And what I've also noticed that the personal development or awareness or conscious journey, you cannot achieve fulfillment. Fulfillment is not success, right? Success, you can work on, get it. You can't get fulfillment. You can't say, I'm going to work hard and I will be fulfilled. It doesn't happen like that. You do the work, and then you come to a point where the sound or the tune of the song that your life is finally comes in tune with the universe. It's that moment that happens when that alignment occurs. You might be out for a walk looking at those beautiful clouds in the sky, and bam, there you go. You found that alignment. So it comes to you at the right time, when the time is right for you. You can't say in 3 months' time, I'm going to be 50% fulfilled. Right? You can say in 3 months, I will have that career. And most likely you will if you're really working hard for it. Fulfillment doesn't happen like that. So the trust from fear to faith, the journey is actually, the path is trust. And sometimes sometimes it's very difficult to be grateful if life is presenting challenges to you. So the first tiny step could be just appreciating. Appreciation will finally lead to gratitude. Gratitude will lead to trust. Trust will bring you in a place where you can let go, where you move from your intellect to to love, let's say. And another important thing to remember is that life has always been uncertain. It's not COVID-19 that has made it uncertain. We just took the glasses off. We thought, like one of my favorite coaches, Michael Neve, what he says is that you are the plane, not the pilot. And we always think we were the pilot. Life is the pilot. So, the tagline for my business goes, let life coach you.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So let life knows how to navigate, right? You weren't sent to this earth you weren't just dropped on earth, right? If there's somebody behind us who created us, must have a plan for us,
Absolutely. And what I'm thinking about is in the book that I wrote last year, there's a 5-stage mindset model, and 2 of the stages at the end are driver and thriver. And the driver is the kind of mindset that someone has when they're focused on success, like you're talking about. And then the thriver is the kind of mindset that someone has when they're focused on fulfillment, which is what you're talking about. And it's very interesting working with people to help them understand the nuances and the differences to that, because it's like society and the media and marketing machines, they're trying to convince us that success is the right road and that fulfillment is the fear.
So that serves the consumer industry, right?
Exactly. But if we don't have our eyes wide open, we don't see that.
I worked in Ernst & Young for a while. And what I noticed was, without any bias, but people working there were super intelligent. Like super intelligent, right? And that's when I kind of realized that, is that a conspiracy theory?
Oh, I love that. Let's make it one.
No. Like, let's get all these intellectual, super intelligent people into these big corporate companies. Tell them this is where you belong. This is the road you have to follow on, so that they never self-realize or self-actualize.
And allow them to do the robotic thing that they do every day and turn up to the place looking the same, saying the same things.
Yeah. So that's why I only lasted there a few months.
Probably for the health and well-being of both of you would be my guess.
But seriously, it gave me such good life perspective.
I think if you can talk to something else for me, there's people around who really resonate with fulfillment and really want to embrace fulfillment and walk along the fulfillment journey. However, there's a whole set of limits they have in their own mind about their ability to do that. What kind of insights could you share for someone who's in that situation?
So, given my own observations in life and people that I work with, mostly I've been doing one-to-one coaching, and my corporate background is in organizational transformation. So I've seen transformation at organizational, team, individual, leadership level. So bringing it all together, I kind of mapped a whole process. Like if there was a road, if there were steps that you could follow, what those steps would be. Like a minimalist approach to personal development.
Beautiful. What is it?
So at a high level, first of all, you need to become really clear about what matters, what doesn't in your current life. Very simple, right? That clarity helps you make aligned decisions. Because even top leaders, especially women, find it very difficult to make decisions. They want that career, but salary compromise, that would impact my family, things along the line. So once you become clear, that clarity, because once you look at what's meaningful for you, there are only 3 things that are meaningful for me: my well-being, my family, and what I love doing, right? Everything else that doesn't fit on the list, out it goes, no matter how exciting it looks. My time is precious. So once you become so clear, you cannot compromise. That gives you innate courage. That gives you natural confidence to really set healthy boundaries, to do more of what you love to do, to show up for the people who matter. That brings compassion. You cannot be compassionate without courage, right? Like service-based leadership seems very egoistic to me. You're in service because it's boosting your ego. I'm such a giving person.
Because there's no such thing as altruism.
Right? So when you arrive at fulfillment, you actually give so much of yourself without expecting anything in return, and life gives you back even more. Right? So the difference between a service leader and a compassionate leader is a compassionate leader is also very successful. Because life is giving them back, not the people. The service-based leader is still has expectations from people. That's the difference. So clarity, courage, and compassion. That's if there was a highway. Now, there is like a 6-step process that you go through this. And for everybody who's listening, I can share a PDF which has the whole framework laid out for you.
That would be great. Yeah, thank you.
And we have turned that into an online course in case you're interested to learn more. So first step is slow down. Slow down to make peace with the past. Whatever has happened. And just look at all the challenges you've faced and see you're still fine. You're still a good human. You're still in good health. If you have survived that, you can survive anything, right?
So I might get you to talk to that one in a little bit more depth, because I see in myself and around me that people can have a lot of struggle with exactly what you're saying. I just call it accepting your own story. But I think it's one thing for us to sit here and have a conversation about accepting your story, and it's an entirely another thing for people to have some kind of extensive history of trauma and abuse and neglect and sit in front of them and tell them to accept their story. So what kind of insights have you got for people who are struggling to accept who they are, where they've come from, what's made them into who they are today?
See, we really can't cover in the short time that we have, obviously. And for some of the experience that you've been through, you actually do need sometimes medical help or really professional help, right? So I'm just going to not go to that extreme, but talk about everything else. And with that, the kind of approach that I have, I don't have that, like my style of coaching, for example, I go quite deep. It can be quite confronting. I'm not there to please the other person or make them feel good about themselves. They've got to face what they've got to face. They've got to hear what they've got to hear. So I kind of hit the nail where it needs to be hit. So my approach might sound a bit harsh. It's not lovey-dovey.
I don't think so, personally.
I mean, once we get into it. So what I'm saying, like you hold their hand, but then you need
And what might that group of people need to hear?
Okay, for example, you're afraid. So technically you're afraid about something. And that fear comes from something that happened in the past. So your brain has got this thing inside so you need to rewire your brain basically, right? So brain feels, oh my gosh, another health crisis coming. Previously I had that health crisis. This is what happened. This looks worse than that. So this is how all the things can go wrong. So depression from the past creates anxiety about the future, right? So what you need to do is rewire your brain so that that trigger next time either doesn't trigger or triggers something positive. That's the science behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So what you need to do is to manage that fear at the core. What I would do is write down my worst case fear scenario, which can be, let's say, I will lose everything. A scary place to go, but you got to find the courage to do it. Write that down and then say what will happen. And from there, once you look at it visually, you will really see that you'll be fine.
Could I cope with this? Could I cope with that? Could I cope with this?
Just looking at it, finding the courage to call it out is all it takes.
And it's really, what you're talking about is really turning around and looking at it head on, face on, arms open, to see what there is there for you to connect to, as opposed to turning around and running as fast as you can, or eating as much as you can, or drinking as much as you can to try and pretend as though the thing's not there.
And while you're doing that, it is actually you're creating more of it because you're just walking around it in circles. You're not even moving away from it. So if it was the size of a pea, you make it into the size of a rock.
So you're making it bigger by the very action you're taking.
So going back to the brain science, anything that you give attention to, your brain begins to focus on it. So if I keep thinking about it, my brain will say, oh, that's important. We need to pay attention here. Right? So one thing in my journey that really helped me was really understanding. I did a few courses on understanding how the brain functions. That was like a game changer. Like one thing, having your spiritualism in place. Another thing is to know the facts.
The physiology and how they connect.
Physiology.
Yeah. And what did you find out?
Just understanding different organs and how they function and how, like, we just keep talking about the lizard brain, right? We need to shut up the lizard brain. Sorry, excuse my language. But if that has gone quiet, where do you spend more of your time then? You need to know that, right? This is where all the triggers are, which you do not want to be alerted once you're in danger, like the fight freeze option. So this is where the creative brain is. This is where inspiration lives. So basically you have to move your attention from here to here, and eventually you come here, right? When we talk about meditation, when I started, I couldn't meditate. I just couldn't bring myself to it. I would get bored simply because I was so used to being on the go. Then I said, all right, even singing along and dancing along also is meditative, right? Which it is. I'm not saying it's not. But real meditation is a state to be in all the time. When you find that peace and quiet, when you learn to respond to situations and not react, is the goal you should have. Is good to know.
Just so you know, every cell inside of me right now is jumping on the table going, yes, preach it, sister, just so that you're aware.
So it becomes so much easier. And I listened to this interview of Dalai Lama with Oprah Winfrey, and he said that was like, that little thing just was so transformative. She asked him that you're always so calm, you're always smiling. What is it? Like there's this childlike innocence on your face. And he said, like, he doesn't have any stress. He said that every step I take, I say in my heart, I'm home. I'm home, I'm home. It is such a game changer in the morning when you see everybody running out of the train station to get to the office. At least, like if they were 1 minute late, the world would just fall flat on its shoulders, right? We think the world sits on our shoulders. If we stopped, everything will collapse.
We're also
so important, right? It boosts our ego. Well, good enough. So I consciously, like when I would walk from the station and I saw all these people rushing, and most of us were Black during that time. You're like, what is happening? And then you slow down and take one step at a time. I'm home. I'm home. I'm home. What that means also that I'm fine. I'm safe. I'm where I need to be. I'm where what is meaningful, because home represents all of it. So say it over a few weeks and you're rewiring your brain with a little practice. Your brain learns, like sometimes when people face anxiety, there has been one point where I was even on anxiety meds in my life. It's not that life has been perfect for me. So that's when my life was actually just 3-kilometer radius of my home. I was too afraid to step out of that radius. I wasn't ready to get back into the life because of whatever challenges that I went through in my life. It took a lot of courage. So I'm not saying it happens overnight. Keep doing the littlest things that you possibly can.
And where can people, how can people tap into that courage when they feel like they don't have anything left?
Choosing to trust every day. Every day, like intentions are very powerful. Have some sort of morning routine that works for you. Anything, like, it doesn't have to be. And I'm a big believer in waking up early, but it doesn't work for everyone. Right? So, but set an intention whenever you start your day. And when you set an intention, set positive intentions. I feel it's the little choices that you make every day. So Michelle, just going back to when I said like step 1 is to slowing down to make peace with the past, right? So you can decide if you need professional help to do that. If only reading personal development books might work for you, you can start listening to some inspiring podcast and the shift will start happening, right? One day you will find the courage to do what I said, to just call it out, whatever that fear is. You don't have to do that right away. You don't have to say that I listen to this talk, I will go today and do it. It might take you a few months and that's totally okay. There's no race, there's no rush, there's no comparison. You are exactly where you need to be in your life right now. So just choosing to trust that, right? Second step is slowing down some more. And that is to get excited and inspired by your future. So first you manage the past, then you create this inspiration for a beautiful future that you want to create. And as a very, very simple exercise to do that is just make a list of things that you would like to have more of in your life. You don't need vision boards. You don't need any big plans and, that in 1 year I will have that business where I'm traveling around the world. You can have those dreams. I'm not saying don't dream big. But just to get started where life feels challenging, start by a list of things that you would like to have more of. I even do that exercise with my kids and you'll be amazed. You do get things on the list besides having the liberty to watch more TV.
I know I do a similar list with my kids every year and they love it now. They bring it up to me at the years every year. They're like, Mum, we want to do our goals for the year. Can we sit down and write what we want to do for the year? And I'm like, sure. And it's really fascinating watching what they come up with, isn't it? Do yours come up with all sorts of...
Yeah, like my 4-year-old surprises me. She wants to own a cafe and her favorite play is like she lines up the whole cafe in our whole living area. She has the best customer service that I can imagine. That you not board their books so that there's an activity place. And my retirement plan is to open a cafe and I think her and I are going to do it together.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's fantastic. Just I might take this opportunity just to jump in and give you some feedback. So People are loving this focus that you're putting on the whole slowing down piece. And there's also people talking about their appreciation of your distinction between a service-based leader and a compassionate leader. So, and I really appreciate that distinction as well. And I haven't heard it quite that way before.
I hadn't heard it before. It just came up.
Someone's saying, yes, meditation is like living. Yoga is being in that state through everything in life. Good words, Sobia, make peace with the past. So there's a lot of people who are listening very intently. What I'd encourage those people to do, as we're coming towards about approximately a bit over 5 minutes left, Sobia, but as we're coming towards the end of Sobia's talk, please feel free to jump in and put any questions that you have either in the Q&A box in the Zoom, or you can put the questions on the live stream. So yeah, you're up to step 2, I think.
So I think we are going to stop this conversation at step 3.
Okay.
So once you download the PDF, you can have a whole look at the framework. It's very simple. Because we have to complete step 3, otherwise we'll just leave it in the middle. So step 1 was to slow down, to make peace with the past. Step 2, slow down some more to get excited about your future and be inspired. Step 3 is slow down to the pace of life. Right? Everybody's talking about slow down, but how much do you slow down, right? Is there a limit? Is there a measurement barometer or something? So everybody's life is different. I may need to slow down more than you. Right? So slow down to what life requires of you. And you can search on Google the wheel of life. It's like a circle it's like a pie chart, which has different triangles, which has different areas of your life, like health, finance, relationship, family. And give yourself a score on each one of them from 1 to 5. 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. So areas where you have the 5, probably you're doing really well. Other areas you need to improve. So where you need to improve, you need to speed up a little, show up a bit more, take a bit more responsibility, especially if your health, for example. See what you need to do, improve your diet or do something. And where you're already doing well, just keep the pace. So when we say slow down to the pace of life, you bring yourself into the present moment. Take responsibility for your life and start doing what you need to do. That's the step where you need to be an adult. And start doing
it requires 1,000% personal responsibility to be in that place.
Yeah, it's not always easy. It's sometimes easier to stay in victim mode, honestly. But so we will leave it there. So this is what slowing down really looks like. It gives you clarity and you're slowly moving into courage. That natural courage and confidence is building into you even without you realizing it.
And I just want to share really briefly regarding your comment about coming back into the present moment, because I think that, and I see a lot of people who experience either anxiety or depression and don't necessarily have the insight to know that depression is about a focus on the past and anxiety is about a focus on the future. And the reason that that's really important is because when you're talking about being able to literally be in the moment and slow down and connect with yourself, most importantly, and then other people around you, you're actually not even able to be anxious. You're not even able to be depressed if you are genuinely practicing being in the moment. And
it's such a beautiful indulgence, seriously. Being present in the moment and really being into what you're doing. It can be office work, it can be play with kids, it can be swimming in the sea, it can be anything, just indulge in it.
Yeah, it's an indulgence and it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? In two sides of the same coin. Yeah. Okay, I'd encourage people just to pop in any feedback or questions or comments anymore that you might have for Sobia. Someone's saying here, yes, I've had to learn this the hard way through burnout, mental health breakdowns, etc. That's certainly a way to learn lots of these lessons. And someone else is just talking about making more peace with the past. I think there's, I feel like I could sit here and talk to you for hours. And I'm glad, AJ, that you suggested that Sobia and I work together this morning. I don't really know what to say to you except that what I will say is it is refreshing, and refreshing is an understatement, to see someone so grounded and so connected energetically to themselves, but also to understand that the way to helping others is through being the best version of you that you can possibly be.
Yeah, and I would reiterate that it's a journey. There's no comparison. All of us are on our own journey. Like in success, you're competing against other people. You're comparing. In fulfillment, there is no comparison. So please go easy on yourself. One day at a time, at your own pace. And you shall arrive, because right now you're exactly where you need to be. Keep reminding yourself that.
I'm just going to type that in.
And it's important to say these things, remind yourself, set intentions, because again, emphasizing that understanding how the brain works, you're rewiring your brain to go on positive highways instead of the negative memories built. Because brain cannot delete memory. What you can do is to build further highways for the cells to travel on once a trigger happens.
And when, as and when you are focused on building those further highways, the other highways disappear and atrophy. And that's what's exciting about behavior change, isn't it? That you can genuinely choose any single behavior or thought that you want to, or feeling that you want to, and shift that in a way that leads you to experience fulfillment at higher levels. Yeah. All right. Is there anything that you would like to say just to wrap up? Someone said here, Sobia is amazing. She has slowed my morning to the pace of life.
Great. That means we served our purpose. Thank you for acknowledging that.
Beautiful.
It's so beautiful to hear.
Any other last things? We will go ahead and drop that PDF into the main group so that people can access that. So if you just want to drop that through to AJ, that would be great. And is there anything else that you wanted to share just to wrap up, or do you feel complete?
I can just remind that we are the airplane, not the pilot. So let life coach you. We'll just end here.
Let life coach you. Let's end on that. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sobia. Appreciate your time. All right. Take care.